I knew that the price to make Bonnie watch it was to sit through it again, and so I did. It was pretty great. Pretty great. Pretty great. What? Legion. It's pretty great. Pretty great. Hot takes. Freestyle, y'all.
Legion's really good, except for the 10 seconds every episode where the CG is very bad.
Yeah, like in that first episode,
That last sequence
like the combat
so bad.
sequence is pretty comically lousy.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
but
will say that is
totally-
that is easily the low water mark.
Well, good, because that's real low.
Yeah,
Well,
no, like there's never, they never tried to be that ambitious again. In fact, there's another scene later where there is more carnage done that is more powerful than what you see, and they are very smart about maximizing their effects and knowing. I think that they knew what dog butt, like the like. You know, the movie maker, like, you know, like
Hey, Justin, can you turn yourself up a
What,
bit?
what's funny is I didn't mind the telekinetic
check. 1, 2,
parts.
3.
It was how lousy the fisticuffs was.
Yeah.
Like, ha ha.
It was very like start
ha.
and stop.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. I got you. Ha-cha.
There's another one. It's not as like fast and dense as that sequence is, but there's another sequence where he's climbing a chain.
Yeah.
And that entire world looks super cheap.
Oh no.
But it's like, it's still pretty good. I don't know. I have a lot of questions, and I think it says some very weird things, Legion does.
Weirdly, like, I mean, it had enough credit by that point that I was willing to look past all of that.
Sure. Now would be a good time to tweet everybody. Weird things.
Tweet, twiddle, tweedle, twaddle, tweet, twat, tweet, twat, tweedle.
Oh, yeah. And I'm tweeting. We're live on
Twitch.tv/Night Attack. I've been playing more Zelda.
Everybody is losing their shit over that game.
So the best parts of Zelda are not like the quests or missions or anything. In fact, I'm at a point now where I have to do some trials, some different tasks, very deliberately. It's like, hey, you have to do these things, and then you'll get this thing.
So it's
the worst part. I hate all of this part of
the
like
tedious to-do list.
It's so rigid, and yeah, it's ugh.
From what I hear,
Yeah.
it gets a little Skyrim-y in terms of open world.
I mean,
Do all these things to get this MacGuffin?
sort of, right? But also, there's always this like hanging thought overhead of like, well, you don't have to do any of this because you can go. The end game is open from the start of the game. So at any point, you can say, okay, I want to be done with the game. I'm going to go take on this
Right.
last thing.
Right. But that's also how Skyrim was. It was like, hey, at any moment you want to focus on the dragons, just go do the dragon stuff.
Sure, but Skyrim always has like a plot line.
Yeah.
Like Zelda has like maybe 2 or 3 hours of like, here's a straightforward thing. But even then, you can divert and go straight to the finish line.
Is the Switch a good system?
I don't have a Switch. I'm playing on the Wii U.
Oh. Forgot that was a possibility. I thought those two were synonymous.
No.
Whoops. Whoops.
So tomorrow's the official release.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm so excited. So what is the status on Audiobook?
Should be available tomorrow.
Day of.
Dude, I'm in.
And I tried to push hard for Mr. Justin Robert Young to be a narrator on another audiobook thing, and they wanted to go in-house. Wouldn't even. So I could not get Justin for my other audiobook series. They didn't even listen. They're like. But the other guy is pretty good. It's pretty good. So.
I mean, I'm sure he probably does it professionally. So
it's all right. It's all right. We'll figure something out.
It was a very well appreciated gesture.
Yeah. So audiobooks of Station Breaker and Orbital.
Nice.
You've never read Station Breaker, have you, Brian?
No, because it's not been available on audio.
I know.
But I'm excited.
I'm like, that's why. So I'm like, we want to do an audiobook version. I'm like, thank God. So Brian will
actually listen to my stuff.
Yeah. I think you might dig it. I think either you'd be like, meh, or you'll dig it.
No, I'm
like
sure
I'll
love it. Dude. So I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time deciding on my pick.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Is there a significant difference between the listenership of Weird Things versus After Things?
It's After Things is a Venn diagram inside of Weird Things.
Yeah. So I would imagine that's smaller. Like then I think I'm gonna do the counterintuitive thing. I'm gonna move what should be my Weird Things pick, which is Legion, to After Things, so that I can.
You don't want to keep the 4 week in a row straight, like
every time it's the same thing.
Someone's pick.
It's yes. Also, my real pick is Logan. No, David Rowan's podcast Minimum is way good.
Oh, yeah?
It's way good.
What is what is it about? Or do you want to save it for picks?
I'll save it. I'll save it. Yeah.
Yeah, Bryce, let's do the show right now. Why don't you head instead of,
You just want to spoil? You want to tell everyone how it's going to go?
No, you brought it up.
Now we know why Bryce lost his job at Price Waterhouse.
Yeah. Topical. All right, you guys want to do a show?
Ready.
Let's do it.
You good, Andrew?
Let me just send you a link first, because I know to save you the 2 milliseconds. I want to have you tested for psychic powers, actually, because of your ability to because I'm saying things, you to find the actual link to it.
It's like, it's more like, I don't know. I've been listening to the show for a long time, so I feel like I got a good idea of right? We're married.
So that's predictable. You didn't have to turn it into an insult.
No. There it is.
All right. You ready?
Yes,
ready.
Bryce Waterhouse.
Bryce Waterhouse.
All right. Take it away, Andrew. In 3, 2.
Welcome to Weird Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Justin Robert Young.
Well, hello, friends.
And Brian Brushwood.
Howdy, y'all. Is that how Texans/Martians talk?
Pretty much. So, gentlemen, I have an offer for you.
Oh, good. I like offers. I like accepting offers.
Man. Offers are the best. That's a well-known catchphrase of mine.
Also, offers, not the best name for hitmen. I tried to start a club of hitmen called The Offers.
The Offers, yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't work.
No. Well, listen, this offer will be a hit.
So to speak.
Man.
Yeah, all right. I'm with you.
All right. What I suggest is that we send you two out of your little studios, Brian, out of your little egg crate you live in there.
You mean outdoors, like in the outers? Yeah,
and Justin, whose studio looks more and more like a TGI Fridays every day.
It's good. Welcome to Andrew riffs on everyone else's studio.
Yeah. Am I right?
Well, listen, we all can't broadcast from the half-price books that you had before you decided to put up foam behind you.
Those were pop-up books, and a very, very special collection of pop-up books. I will have you know.
Oh my goodness! Hot takes, savage.
Yeah. So let me know how the mozzarella sticks are. Anyhow, so
All I'm saying is that podcasters cracking on each other for their backgrounds is like trying to find the tallest person in the little person colony, right? Like it's a very low
wasn't
bar.
a crack as much as just an observation that I just made at that point. That it does look like Brian's his very precious special Brian container, and Justin does look.
There are people who like get upset, like this most recent episode of The Modern Rogue. Somebody was just like, "I'm just raging at that background," like somebody felt something harsh enough that he needed to type that and have that publicly be attached to his name.
Oh, to have a life so perfect, that's the one little detail that drives you nuts. But anyhow, we're sending you guys out of your studios, away from this. We're going to send you on a little bit of adventure. How would you guys like to go to Europe?
By boat? Maybe. No, plane.
Plane. We're flying you to Europe. Take a little trip. We're gonna go to Italy. We're gonna go visit Italy. Where they all look like Justin.
Italy. Yeah. Well, not all. Yeah, many do. There's a lot of them there.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go to Sicily. We're gonna go to Sicily. You guys want to go to Sicily?
Oh, hold on, and that's Justin's home heritage town.
That you know.
That's as far as you know. Yeah,
we're gonna go to Sicily where they all look like a Justin and go, hey, how you doing? And then
I too am a Justin Robert Young. All of us, we are all juries here.
Hey, come join me and my family at our TGI Friday set.
An alligator with the sunglasses. Now you've seen everything, eh?
Now we're going to go see all the natural wonders of whatnot in Sicily and maybe go do a little hiking, maybe a little climbing. And, I mean, we're in Europe, so, I mean, nothing bad ever happened in Europe. So we're all good. It's good. You guys want to go on a little tour? Tour around here?
By the way, that was a amazing, eye-opening moment for me was when I did a TV show in Istanbul, Turkey. And in my mind, I was like, oh, it's Eastern Europe. And then I landed and I looked around and I was like, no, this is the beginning of the Middle East. like it's like they don't accept the euro or nothing. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, but we're in Europe. We're in Europe right now.
We're in Europe proper. Everything can go right.
So, let's go for a little bit of a hike, guys. Let's go on a little hike. And there's some snow on the ground and whatnot. It's kind of beautiful and serene with little snowball fights back and forth like this.
Sure, yeah. This is great.
I mean, I'm casting side-eyed glances looking for just in case the Pope happens to, be out and about.
It's a little south for the POPE, where my money be, but I'm just saying, normally, Andrew, a lot of these scenarios wind up going wildly sideways. This just seems like a nice little vacay.
Oh, we're having a jaunty time. I say, hey, shut up, are you? And then I hit you with a snowball.
And I go, that's like what everybody sounds like. And then I throw another snowball.
Wait, we look over, and there's a team of BBC journalists and crew.
Oh, hey BBC, what's up, man? Are you here for the snowball fight?
I hit him with the snowball.
We're here for the scenic views, guys. This is great. We're in Europe. We're in Italy. We're having a great time. There's snow on the ground. We're just gonna go hike. Take a look up here. You want to come with us? Take a look up here.
Sure, let's go up here. Hey.
And nothing bad ever happens with
Wait, with the BBC, it's like what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to capture slow motion footage of my tongue lashing out to capture a bug.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is a beautiful mountain. This is around a beautiful mountain.
It's beautiful.
Well, technically,
here we are on the Weird Things podcast, where everything is just great always, and nothing ever.
It's not quite a mountain. It's like, shut up. We're having fun. We're having fun. Just snowball in your face.
Okay, all right.
I do like this new version of the podcast where it's just pleasant scenarios.
It's
and
just
we just
idyllic,
walk through having a big, fun, relaxing time.
It's just Idyllic Vignettes is the new name of the show.
Yeah. We're in a beautiful Mediterranean view on top of a mountain overlooking the ocean. Now, of course, if we are in a mountain in Sicily, I mean, technically, where did those mountains come from?
Wait a minute. Are we at Pompeii?
No, you're not in Pompeii. It's a totally different place.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure.
Racist.
Just, yeah. Jeez. I mean, we're on Mount Etna.
Mount Etna, the best.
Yeah, no, they've got great insurance.
Yeah, I mean, insurance, security, right? You feel very stable and secure with Mount Etna,
man,
right?
I tell you, I feel very, very at home in the natural splendor of my possible homeland.
Yep. Now, there's one little tiny thing about Mount Etna we need to remember. But again, it's not a big deal because we're in, like, Europe. It's a big deal.
I feel so ensconced in the bosom of Lady Sicily that I doesn't matter what. She can do no wrong for me and my boy Bri.
Meanwhile, I've already cut off the bottom half of my shirt, and I'm wrapping my wrists like a cage fighter, and just sort of limbering up.
And you see some guy walking on past you, you're like, hey, who are you? He goes, I'm a volcanologist.
Does he make mention to the fact that Brian has made a belly shirt because he decided to tear his shirt at the bottom hem?
It's Europe.
Also, I grab
Europe.
my belly and I squish it together and I rub it all around so it looks like a never mind.
It's Europe. He doesn't know. You know, you're American, so it's fine. But you're like, hey, you're on the mountain with a volcanologist and a team from BBC. He's like, hey guys, come over here. I want to show you something.
Okay, we follow the volcanologist. What does a volcanologist do, Brian?
I mean, he's a big fan of Star Trek for starters, right?
He totally is.
So, yeah,
he totally is. That's irrelevant to his expertise. That's irrelevant to his expertise and why he's called a volcanologist, though. But he is a big fan of Star Trek.
I make the famous symbol and I just tell him nanu nanu.
He's like, I only get that joke 12 times an hour. Come over here. You go first. Let's take a look. See that steam coming up? You want to see the natural splendor of Mount Etna? You know where Mount Etna come from. You know why? It's not like there's some big plate activity here pushing against each other forming mountains. No. What formed Mount Etna?
What?
Plates?
No, he just said it's not that. He literally was like seconds away from saying it's not that.
Well, I mean, but I heard the word plates, so I'm just I'm going to go with plates. I'm doubling down on plates.
No, it's volcanic activity.
Oh, right.
Right. Volcanoologist. Why don't you pronounce it like that?
Yeah. So, and you're like, oh, wait. We may be in a weird thing scenario, and we're on a volcano. We're backing up right now. And he's like, guys, like, nothing, it's Mount Etna. Nothing's bad happened in, like, my entire 30-year career. Let's go take a look over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That feels like...
Brian and your now flapping in the breeze belly shirt. What do you think we should do?
How fast can we fashion a hang glider? Like I've got a bit of
approximately 30 hours longer than it would take for us to walk back.
Okay.
Well, right. It's snowy. It's like, and it's warmer over here, Brian. You're probably getting cold. Your belly's turning blue. There's some nice steam coming up.
Look, it seems like maybe we don't want to be around for the...
We got the BBC. We got a tour group here. We're fine.
Holy crap. The BBC. Are you telling me the BBC got footage of Mount Etna exploding?
Why are you jumping to conclusions, Brian? Have I used the E word? Have I used the E word at all?
Exploding? I'm sorry.
Or have I used the H-E word, huge explosion? No, I have not.
Well,
if I said anything about a lava flow mixing with steam causing an explosion and pelting people with boiling rocks and steam, I have not said anything about that.
This is strangely specific here.
It seems legit, Bri. All right. I go ahead and tug Brian by his belly shirt and say, let's go, man. We're in for a penny, in for a pound. Nothing wrong can happen to us. We live forever.
So we start dancing on the top of Mount Etna. There's a
78-year-old woman with us here, okay? Nothing bad ever happens to the elderly, okay?
So what did happen?
Bryce, do we have any video of what happened?
Oh, yeah, let's take a look.
So the tour group, people were in Mount Etna.
Oh my
God.
Oh my God. Oh my
God.
Then, all of a sudden, the lava flow mixed with steam had caused a huge explosion, pelting people with boiling rocks and steam. The volcanologist said this is the most dangerous incident he had experienced in his 30-year career. A guide had suffered a dislocated shoulder, while a 78-year-old woman had been very close to the place, but managed to get away safely. people ran from the blast trying to reach the safety of a snowmobile.
Oh my God! The fact
And
that
there's
anybody would think a
magma.
snowmobile was safety.
Well, getting away from the gigantic exploding
Oh
volcano
my-
seems to be a bit of a priority.
It's you're watching bits of rock flying towards people as they're running away.
Well, and the camera keeps landing in the slush all around. Oh my goodness!
There's a photo of somebody's jacket that got burned, and that's the snowmobile lost a window got shattered. And this is a big snowcat, not like they tried to hide behind a snowmobile, and you're imagining like a little one. This is like a big giant vehicle. So here's the shocked people inside of the cab of the snowcat
nursing
there.
head wounds where debris and rock just split their skulls open. This is insane.
Wow, dude, I would just be taking all sorts of pictures if I had gotten my head split open by a volcano and survived.
So many selfies.
Oh, dude. It would
So
just
many
be everything.
hashtag pity me starts trending worldwide.
Brian, I would take your belly shirt and I'd yoke the arms right off. Like, I'm saying, no, we got to go more. We got to go bigger. Like, I would smear the blood down my face like it was Braveheart. Like, man, that is... I mean, like, how many people can say that they were that close to an exploding volcano? Now, granted, this is not, like, exactly an eruption, right, in the same way that we would see gigantic lava flowing.
I mean,
but, like,
it's
how many
not
people
quite
can
a
say
Mount
that
St.
this is
Helens,
this
in
thing
Pompeii
is
that
a
could have said that.
It's definitely reminiscent of a Mount St. Helens kind of event. Like, I mean, just the explosion of I assume ash and steam and so on. That's extraordinary.
All right, now let me ask you guys this. So this took people by surprise, right?
Yes.
But let's say that you were able to provide an appropriate layer of protection, right? You had helmets, maybe riot, some other +1 riot cop kind of like outfit, and you knew that this was going to happen at various times during the day. Would you go and view it that close?
Oh my God, yes. If I felt like I was safe, if I felt like I was Iron Manned up and could handle being there, I don't know that I could physically get close enough. Like are you kidding me? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. In
No,
fact,
yeah,
I'm
literally
gonna go so far.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
I'm gonna go so far as to say, like, the guy who got his head split open, if you asked him now, he would say totally worth it.
I don't know, man. He did not look pleased when they were leaving. He was.
I mean, I don't know. He's putting on a show for his wife. He's like, oh,
The blood. He's got a ketchup pack.
Wait a minute, what kind of show? What kind of show is like, oh, I'm hurt. Oh, dear me. A spicy meatball, that one was. Wife.
but okay. In my mind, okay, replace all of the background characters with dudes in his fraternity. Tell me he would be like, that was amazing, bro! Like, with complete with the blood going down the face?
I mean, yeah. Like,
YOLO!
I think that there are certain temperaments, and I don't know if all of them lead to the what I think we would both be if we were together and one of us got our head split from a falling rock from an exploding volcano, we would think that it was the coolest thing that has ever happened to either of us, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that guy thinks it's the cool. I think that he thought he was on a nice little sightseeing thing, and then he almost got killed, and now he is very happy to be outside of the final jaws of death.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
All right. So, that was a little bit of a tricky thing on my part. And I say, let's just go back to Texas where it's safe. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Go back to Texas safe.
Texas.
You
When
ever-
everybody thinks of Texas, they think of safe.
Yeah. So exactly. I was thinking, maybe we join a civic club. We could join a civic organization or
The
whatever.
Lions,
let's go to the town.
JCs,
Let's go to the town
the
of
Fraternal
Sweetwater.
Order of Police. Yeah, sure.
You ever
Yeah,
been to Sweetwater?
Sweetwater, Texas, sure.
The Shriners.
Okay, so we could join the Sweetwater JCs. Want to join the Sweetwater JCs?
Yeah, of course. Wait, they get together every Wednesday and Thursday night, and they have dollar shot night with bingo.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, they do. They get together. They do events. They're very, very civic-minded group. Very, very into the community. Very into that.
Hold on.
So,
time out. Where in Texas is this?
Sweetwater, Brian. I think just delicious sweet water. Sweet water.
Where is Sweetwater? Let me take a look. Is it near?
I think it's
Not allowed to look that up, Brian. No,
Okay,
Brian. This is
I'm not gonna
theater of
look
the
it up.
mind here.
It's
Okay.
fine, it's fine.
It's in Texas. It's called Sweetwater. We're going to join the Sweetwater JCs, okay?
Okay. That sounds delightful.
All right. And they're world renowned, by the way, too. They are very, very civically active minded and all that.
What
gotcha.
are they renowned
For the record, halfway between Dallas and Odessa was
Okay.
where.
Wow, West Texas. Huh.
All right. So we're at the meeting. We're like, hey, new guys, Brian and Justin.
Hi, we just relocated. Justin's he's from California. Watch out for this one. Am I right, boys? But I've relocated my family. We're really excited
from
to be part
Boston,
of this.
which is worse than Berkeley to them, but that's okay. So, like, what's with that big oversized bandage on your head?
On my head?
Yeah.
Oh, we were vacationing in Italy. There was
Together.
this incident.
And then I wink slowly.
Just to note, we understand you're from Austin and all, but the midriff shirt, maybe not Sweetwater.
Yeah, I probably should have changed shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on me. But
Anyhow, so we all know we got our big event Saturday. Since you guys and the new guys, we thought maybe you want to lead. You want to be leading on this, you know.
Yeah.
You want to take the lead? You going to take the lead?
Yeah. No, we'll lead. Where are we leading again?
Sweetwater.
Yes. No. Okay.
The event. Listen, Brian, if I may, my buddy here has got a bit of a wardrobe issue, as you can pick up with his belly button winking at you in the breeze here. We just need to know what kind of event we're going to be taking the lead on, just so we're appropriately, coiffed.
The Roundup, gentlemen.
Oh, the Roundup! I hit Justin on the side of the shoulder. The Roundup, right?
So I need my dancing shoes, huh?
Dude, sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
I'm gonna put on these combat boots. So
I don't know. Yeah. Should I put on my muddin boots or my dancing shoes? I never know. Come Roundup time,
and I suddenly have a shotgun, and I'm like ready to go, boss.
Whatever makes you happy. I don't know how you do things back in,
Boston. Yeah.
East Berkeley there. So.
Yeah. All right.
Anyhow, so y'all set? All right, excellent. See you there. Pickup truck will pick you up in the morning.
Okay. So now I'm dressed like Billy Ray Cyrus, and Brian is dressed like a Duck Dynasty brother.
That's right. That's right. But then I walk over to Justin, and I was like, "Yeah, you want to play some Hearthstone real quick while we're waiting?"
So within scenario, we play 3 games of Hearthstone, and Brian wins 2 out of the 1.
Fast forward, pickup truck picks you up. We're driving to the Roundup. There's a case of beer in the back,
Nice.
and everybody's excited. There are kids there too, and all that.
Great.
Which part do you like more, Justin? The J or the C in the JCs? I mean, there's so much to love about them.
Why choose when you can have both, like we do? Living the dream, right, boys? And I start high-fiving everybody.
So, your driver's like. Hey, so which part do you like better, the fuming or the grasping?
The fuming?
The who now? The what now? Hey, sorry, I got a bit of an ear problem here. What
the
you
fuming
say?
or the grasping?
I think the fuming sounds less.
Oh wait, we're passing some people holding protest signs like "Stop the Roundup! Stop the Roundup!" I'm like, oh man.
Oh dear.
Oh, these nudges, huh? I mean, geez. I'll tell you, it's really breaking my achy, breaky heart. Remember that one?
I lean over to Justin and I was like, I don't think.
Your driver's like, I'm more of a Lord fan. To be honest with you, green lights like this really, really just sings to me. But anyhow, we pull up. We're outside of town. There's a group of people there. Maybe there's a portable smoker with some barbecue getting ready to go, get served up, everybody's very happy, everybody's smiling. I mean, like, their footwear may be kind of like boots and stuff. And your first impression is that, are they here to help the elderly get items off of high shelves? Because a lot of them are holding these sticks with grasping claws on them.
So I lean over and I'm like, hey, listen, between you, me, and the wall, I mean, I know what's going on here, but Justin's a little bit uncomfortable because he's a little bit slow on the uptake. You just want to explain to Justin what we're doing here? Yeah, because
what
Justin,
the roundup is? You know what rounding up.
Oh,
Don't you know what rounding up?
I know what a roundup is. I've been doing it since my daddy was knee high to a turtle.
Well, if you guys have been doing the Weird Things podcast for this long, clearly you know what we're rounding up.
It's got to be snakes. God damn it, Justin, we're rounding up snakes.
Yeah. At that point, I immediately looked down. Oh, Jesus!
Sweetwater JC is organizer of the world's largest Rattlesnake Roundup.
Rattlesnake Roundup? Who's protesting rounding up of rattlesnakes?
By the way, I go ahead and I wearing my Billy Ray Cyrus outfit, I start pointing at my snakeskin boots and looking at the snakes in the eyes and saying, "Who's the boss? Huh? Who owns this town?"
They're definitely just
and there are kids and stuff
slaughtering
preparing the stuff. Like they're like
oh, jeez, they're killing these snakes, man. Oh man, there's blood on these kids' hands.
I mean,
we missed it in the video, but there's a handprint wall where the kids go and leave their bloody handprint.
Oh, I mean, here's the weird part. Like, they're not wrong. Rattlesnakes are dangerous business. Like, dealing with the rattlesnake handler was one of the most fascinating things.
Jesus, this is like,
oh my God, he's kicking a pile of
these big piles.
He's kicking a pile.
And I thought it was just a tagline.
Look at this little girl getting her the blood on her hands. Oh my God.
She put the little handprint, and now she's smiling, and they're dumping all these snakes. Guys, I think the prophecy is true. City folks just don't get it.
Oh my God!
It's horrifying.
FarmersOnly.com had it right. I rarely have no words on this podcast. I wish you could see the mountain of rattlesnakes.
When does this happen?
I kind of think we need to be there for the next one.
I kind of think that we need to do a live episode of Weird Things at the next roundup.
Yes.
This report is 3 days old from DallasNews.com. I think they do this every year.
Second weekend in March.
All right.
That literally just means that I need to stay for South by.
Yeah, we cancel South by Southwest, and then we just go and be there for the roundup. That's so many. They have so many.
All right, the question was, are these caught in the wild? Yes, these are caught in the wild. This is how they try to reduce the rattlesnake population.
Last week, 6,000 pounds of rattlesnakes were rounded up.
6,000 pounds. Like each rattlesnake is a pound. That's 6,000 snakes. Picture 6,000 snakes.
No, some of these snakes are like 6 pounds, Brian. Some of these are big snakes. So
it's
a mere 1,000 rattle. My favorite was the guy squeezing the blood into the little girl's hand and her going, if you showed me this was like in India or China, I'd be like, oh, well, that's just how they are in those countries.
Here's a great paragraph. The ever-present buzz of rattles sound almost mechanical, like a bad generator whirring to keep the festival lights on. The smell of the snakes, a pungent mix of earthy rodent feces scents and vinegary pheromones, wafts around the arena. Occasionally, a JC will spray the snake pit with a full can of Right Guard deodorant, but then it just smells like a pile of snakes covered in a layer of Right Guard.
Jesus, beat reporter, keep the Dickens in your pants.
Oh gosh! Well, if you'd like to make it possible for us to go to things like, I don't know, visit the world's largest rattlesnake roundup, where it's going to be literally 3 guys going, their hands in the air going,
Here's what you got to do. Go to patreon.com/weirdthings. Again, patreon.com/weirdthings is where you can support this very, very show. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. It is really, really amazing that you guys continue to support this fine program that happens every Monday live on twitch.tv/Night Attack.
11 patrons away from YOLO 420.
I think it's time we do a new video for that Patreon, by the way.
No. Let it age.
We want to get more patrons. Maybe we do a new video.
Okay. Well, maybe.
That old marketing adage. Just keep at it.
Just the old stuff
age.
is fine. That's the way marketing works. Oh my God. I am going to be haunted by that. And here's the weird part is like I have like they're clearly killing the rattlesnakes and splitting them open, I assume to make food out of them. I want to go eat rattlesnake. I want that very badly.
Right.
You live in Texas.
Rattlesnake wants to eat you.
Well, yeah, I'm certain. Look, it's a mutual admiration we have for each other.
By the way, 4-hour drive through the heart of Texas to get from Austin to Sweetwater.
Dude, we all pile into the weird van. We drive. We do an episode on the way out. We eat some deep fried rattlesnake.
And also, by the way, I think that like Austin might be the closest place to fly into if you're trying to get to Sweetwater.
Gentlemen, we have an email here, and it was a suggestion for a show topic, and I want to sort of address my thoughts on this. So, Paul writes, says, "Hello, gents. I would just listen to an episode of Serious Inquiries Only titled, 'Is It Morally Acceptable to Have Children?' It was a pretty engaging discussion on philosophy, bioethics, and the future of humanity, and it might make for a good episode of Weird Things. The philosopher bioethicist in question, Travis Ryder, made it sound like he was up for interviews." So, Ryder is a research scholar at Berman Institute of Bioethics, Johns Hopkins University. He's one of these people whose opinion is, because of the threat of climate change, we should stop having children.
Well, and if you accept some of the precepts, including the fact that each person does add, however many pounds of CO2 to the atmosphere, and that will accelerate climate change and damage the planet even harder. Under that paradigm, he's not wrong, right?
I guess if we're saying if that's our only data set, and also like, and I guess we've had suggestions before of like, hey, you should have this person or whatever. And the problem we've had, it's like, it's like we might be coming into, whenever you're into an argument where you have a different, let's say, understanding of facts, perhaps, is that you're going to get into just you're right, I'm wrong, or you're wrong, I'm right, whatever kind of thing. And then it gets, so like in this situation it's a premise I've heard before, again, and it's a premise that accepts makes several assumptions. One is that the worst case scenario in climate change, for temperature rise is a very likely to happen, even though the IPCC reports is now down. It says no, it's not as extreme as we think it's going to happen, and the extreme problems are going to happen much towards the end of the century. That's the consensus. That is the scientific consensus. That's not the denialist or the lukewarm or whatever. That's what the IPCC report sort of says. Like, yes, there's going to be warming or increased warming, but the most likely cases at the end of the century, right?
Well, and so this is really, as I understand it, just a rehash of the Malthusian view versus the.
Let me just interrupt. Let me give you his points, just
sure,
and then because I'll let you knock them down one by one or address them. Or change your mind. So his thing is like, well, if we have this 4% or 2.5%, if we have the several percentage increase, it gets, boiling oceans, that kind of thing. He then talks about, says, well, he says, well, people talk about like, do we want to have a declining population, pointing to Japan and stuff. He says, well, we have finite resources, so we got to learn how to adapt to that, and we need to have a smaller population for that. So that's his point, is like, even if you're worried about like the idea of people being to improve the quality of stuff, we have finite resources and we're going to run out of stuff. And if we have too many people, that'll be that. Okay, go.
Well, Okay, so back in the 1960s.
Denier!
Back in the 1960s, who's the guy that wrote The Population Bomb?
Paul Ehrlich.
Paul Ehrlich wrote a book, The Population Bomb. He was one of the most popular guests on The Tonight Show. He was like a superstar of essentially, I guess everyone had a fever for watching somebody talk about doom and gloom. But then Julian Simon, an economist, said, hey, yes, if you have one fox and 99 chickens, that is a sustainable outcome. But and if you have 10 foxes, suddenly you have no chickens. But that's not the way that works with humans. If you have one human and 99 chickens, that's fine. If you get 10 humans, suddenly you have 1,000 chickens. And basically, he proposed the idea that human intellect, ingenuity, and the ability to shift what we want to consume is an asset. And he suggested that basically of all the resources, there's none more valuable than human ingenuity. And this seems to me to be like another version of this same argument, right?
Yeah, I would say that first part is that the argument is that the threat of potential human loss of life from climate change is such that the solution is to slow down the rate of population growth. I would say that would accurately reflect that point of view, and I would counter that that's not what the science says right now. That's not what the science says. There are scenarios where you can say in one scenario, like if we have this many degrees of temperature rising, we have a problem. Yes, if we have 100-degree temperature rising, we're all doomed, well, maybe, but, but it's like, yes, what is the likelihood of that doing? And you're making that bet. You're making that bet like, well, if it gets this worse, where other people are like, well, no, the data says, yes, there can be a couple degree more increase. We've been able to weather that before. If we can adapt to that, we're a technological civilization that can readily adapt to that. And that we're fast approaching things solar, and we're moving rapidly towards development of solar things like this, and our ability to be able to handle that. I would argue, and to your point too, is that our ability to use resources has increased dramatically. We use fewer farmland to feed people today as a percentage than we have before. We're getting more efficient in certain resources. Certainly, as other countries, as we get Asia and Africa their economies grows. Yes, they do start to use more oil. They do start to use more of these, fuels and stuff, because they want to have energy to be able to do things like have lights on at night and stuff like that. And I'm not against stopping them from doing that and saying, well, we had our growth, guys. You don't get it. Trying to prevent their growth is going to put more of them into poverty, more of them into a miserable lifespan than letting them have a growth and trying to invent new technologies that make life better. I think it's almost, I cannot tell you how much I hate the point of view of like we should stop having fewer children, because it's this belief that we're in this death spiral, and it's a death cult kind of mentality to me. In fact, so much so it's actually a topic in my book Blackfall, available tomorrow from HarperCollins.
Hey! Smooth. That was smooth.
It raises my hackles, because clearly we look at the data. Our food production ability is increasing. We've been handling rising sea levels for thousands of years. There were farms and land in Great Britain that the Romans that occupied, that are below sea level now. They handled it. We can deal with these things. If you ask insurers, like, they talk to Warren Buffett, like, how much does climate change affect the insurance industry? He's like, not. It hasn't had a dramatic effect on the insurance industry. It's one of these things that we can adjust, and sea levels will rise. The debate over how much they're accelerating is one of these things that's beyond my ability to understand. But we've been dealing with this situation for thousands of years and can handle this. My biggest fear is that we do become like Scandinavia or Japan or Russia or whatever, and we don't keep reproducing, and we just become a society of old people. That is a more frightening situation to me. That is a scary situation to me. A bunch of geriatrics that can't, nobody to take care of them.
It also kind of, to me, belays this larger idea of a self-centered nature that, like, for as long as humanity has been able to ponder its fate, we have thought we were closer to the end of it than the beginning, right?
Yep.
Like, and that's just such a weird thing, because it's kind of constantly been proven wrong. like all available evidence seems to say that we are continuing to explode and change, and now we are on the precipice, realistically, of like possibly becoming a multi-planet species in our lifetime. And it's like, so why would any of these ideas that we're like, well, we're on slice 8 of our 10 slice pizza, and once we're at 10, we all die. Like
Right.
why would that hold as much currency as it maybe did back when it seemed more realistic? Like now we're in the time of unlimited optimism, it would seem.
I would make the contra argument would be like 7 billion people on the planet, our ability to influence and make things go negative has never been greater than ever has been. It's absolutely true. If we continue to keep pumping out CO2 continuously and accelerate the rate at which we do that, I do believe that we will have problems that, real, discernible problems are going to come from that. I believe that. But I'm also a person that says that, looking at these different scenarios, what's the most frightening scenario to me? One is if we retract our economy. We stop our economy. The thing that's been driving solar panels and renewable technology is technology. The reason that, you're going to have, Tesla plans to put 500,000 electric cars on roads over the next year, and GM is doing the Bolt and this sort of stuff has become the drive of our economy towards better batteries. Solar panels are driven by technology. If you say, hey, let's slow that economy down, and if you look at Moore's law, the thing that slows it down, the things where you get your peaks and your valleys, the valleys come from slowdowns in the economy and slowdowns in technology in these areas. So to me, it's like, no, the recipe for death is like, hey, everybody, let's just stop having young children and engineers and scientists to solve these problems and just move to our little retirement enclaves.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's like it's a bit of a what's the argument, reducto ad absurdum, where it's
right.
like, you take something to the extreme so it's ridiculous. Like if it's right for us to be The Economist, doggone it, Chicago School of Economics,
Milton Friedman?
Yes, Milton Friedman. This is apocryphal, but the story is that, he's there watching people build a canal, and they're all using shovels, and he's like, why aren't you using, real equipment? And it's like, oh, you don't understand, this is a jobs program. He's like, well, if it's a job program, why do they have shovels? Why don't you just give them all spoons, right?
Spoons, yep.
And so likewise, if it's right for us to have fewer people, why not just have no people at all?
Yeah.
That seems like that would be the best for the planet.
Yeah, no, it's like it gets the minimum wage. Why not make it $100 an hour? It's that, and if you say, well, I'm like, okay, so we agree there's a limit. We have to agree that to limit to how, where that solution is no longer reasonable. Where is that? And we think it's more like, no, we think you're addressing the wrong problem.
Let me ask, and this is a general thing that I kind of keep coming back to, and I'm not saying this with any authority, but I'm curious to get feedback on this. When has conservation and not innovation been the solution to the problem? Because conservation always seems to me to be this kind of weird stopgap where we identify a problem, but it's always a Band-Aid. It's not a permanent solution. Like, when have we ever conserved our way out of something instead of innovating a new way to do it?
It depends upon how you manage a resource. And the problem you get into is you take oceans, and we have oceans that are overfished because they don't belong to anybody, and as many boats and low-paid fishermen you can put out there to go grab. You can go into areas and you can get a lot of fish, and we have depleted areas there. And conservation and management, because there's only a certain amount of ability for it to replenish itself, and because if I'm a fisherman, my cost is nothing, to just send my boat elsewhere. I will deplete this area until I can, and then I'll move somewhere else. And that's an area where conservation makes a good idea.
Okay.
There are a lot of things. There's a lot of resources that take a while to replenish themselves and do that.
Am I right in remembering this? I was talking to Bonnie about this the other day. Conservation has gotten us to a place where I believe the humpback whale is like about to leave any kind of endangered status. Like there's like for the first time, scientists are able to study how they move in giant pods.
Yeah. And now it's an example of like where our ability to whale and our technology increased so much so we did serious damage to those populations, and we probably wiped other species of them off the planet because as we developed better harpoons, faster boats, and ships like that, there was finite population we could do that. And so we I don't think any of us here believes is in the idea like, oh, we can't do any damage. Oh, it's not like, no, we can. We know we can do these things, but it's just we have pretty good systems and ways to understand how we're doing that, and markets and things like that are a wonderful way to sort of address that. It's like you talk about like, tigers, the tigers are endangered and stuff. It's like, well, there are tiger farms where they raise tigers for food and for, skin. They've had those, and like the tigers can thrive there. But that just raises people's, no, you can't do that to these precious little creatures. It's like, it's just a big cat, And I would just say to Ryder points out, because he does a thing like, he talks about people who address some comments. Those claiming climate change is a hoax devised by those who wish to control the world's resources are not worth responding to. Well, I mean, that's a way to conflate a lot of points of view there. He says, since 97% of all relevant experts cannot convince climate change skeptics of the basic scientific facts, then nothing I say will change their minds, which is the problem there is that, yes, there is this 97% thing, which is a very, very, and I have no problem believing that majority of, scientists within the field feel that way, that climate change is the wording is man-made or primarily man-made or whatever like that. And it's not a hypothesis that I have a problem with. There is a thing though that where they say relevant scientists means that particular paper that people cite, the 97%, they searched for. It was a very weird selection sort of thing of papers that talked about climate change, blah, blah, blah. 97% agreed that it was real and man-made, that it was primarily caused by man, which, and fine. That's one thing. It doesn't address what percentage, it doesn't have anything to do with future forward predictions. All of our models, most of our models rather, for predicting future climate change have been wrong. They've always been over hot. They've been way, way hot compared to what's happened. So we know that our future casting is way off. Not to say that it's evidence of any sinister conspiracy or whatever like that, but our prediction models have sucked. Economists are terrible at predicting and trying to say, well, let's reduce the human population for a problem that we are not experiencing right now. And, here we are 2017, 20 years on from when this debate really started getting to grow. And we're still having the debate because, well, the effects that we're supposed to be seeing, we haven't seen. And some people are like, well, just wait. And it's like,
you know what?
I'll tell you what, I think from the Weird Things podcast to your home, keep banging.
Yep.
No reason to pull up on that one. Go ahead.
I would say,
get on.
If you truly believe that we are destined to only live as a species on Earth, then I can understand the moral case for not having kids. But if you believe, like I do, that we're a virus and our job is to infect the universe, then the idea of reducing our number one resource, aka a more intelligent life, is insane. Like we got to get off this rock. We have to go from one petri dish to two petri dishes, and then after that we can have a discussion about exactly how much of the universe we want to infect. But for right now, it's like we got to get off this rock.
Yeah, and I think we're all for the idea of like and managing how our efficiency of things and minimizing things like putting CO2. Yeah, absolutely is a greenhouse gas. Absolutely. And there is, of course there is a limited amount of infrared absorption you're going to get. So it's like after a certain point, it doesn't really matter. Keep putting it up there. Who cares? And we've had much higher levels historically, whatever. Yeah, I'm like, I'm all for these. I'm all for like conservation, all these things. I'm all for this sort of stuff. I just hate these sort of like, therefore, have no children, stop innovating and don't go to other planets.
Well, maybe we can move away from a ridiculous fantasy scenario and move on to the hard science of Journey Quest. Can we do a little bit of Journey Quest?
Oh, Journey Quest. Journey Quest. Okay. So somebody sent us a really awesome like recap thing, and I think I forgot to forward that on to Bryce. I assumed that Bryce got it, but then I realized that
Super Pro. That's 411 of you guys making it possible for us to stay loud, live, and independent. Appreciate it. I
need you guys stall for me here.
No, that's fine.
Hey man, Journey Quest is where Brian and I go on an amazing adventure. We have been through post-apocalyptic America.
fact that Andrew is casually
You're-
searching through his Gmail while offhandedly criticizing Justin's
Who's
ability to
vamping
fill
for
in.
him.
Which was ordered not but seconds ago.
So this was Stephen Crane sent us this, and I've sent it forwarded on to Bryce, and it's like a very, very cool, very, very good job.
We should have some we should
my
pick some theme music for Journey Quest. Previously on
Johnny Quest!
Wow! These are definitely not laundry bags full of laundry. They're definitely more of our demon seed.
Oh, you're here to
Negotiations.
discuss terms of surrender. Okay.
All of the kingdoms are going to come unite and sack this castle. So either you let us go and we defend you, or you're all dead. How about that?
Oh my
So-
god, that's great.
That was great. Thank you, Stephen. That was awesome.
God.
So,
jeez.
Last we were, Brian and Justin have traveled to a very faraway land with people who in the middle of a sort of a medieval style warfare, and Brian and Justin first tried to have Brian pose as the Duke, the reigning Duke there, in what could have been a wonderful, cunning sort of ploy that could have led to them living a life of leisure and fun and whatnot and decadence. Somehow they screwed that up, tried to escape several times, even though they really didn't need to, and then found themselves in the middle of a battle, which they were on the verge of winning because of their superior knowledge of Demon Seed. And then in the midst of the battle, Brian decided that they were going to cave and surrender to the enemy. Was that the case?
Yeah.
Or no, you
You're gonna
ran
sell
back.
out.
It's accurate.
You ran
Accurate.
back
accurate.
to your own people
Yeah.
and admitted that you had betrayed them.
Yeah, and also that we were only impersonating their now dead leader.
You may have been implicit in the murder of their duke,
Yeah.
and you thought that your wonderful, argument of tactics and rhetoric were going to save the day.
Yes, but the fact is, look,
And the demon seed.
there's look, ain't no benefit in looking backwards. Let's look.
Also,
forward.
by the way, we tried all those things in that sequential order. So we surrendered and then went back on our surrender and tried to seize legitimate control in a coup d'etat from the Duke who had died and we were impersonating.
yeah,
And if my Wirecast scenes are correct, did you guys end up on the guillotine?
no,
Yeah, that was where we were last. we
we
found
didn't
out
have the
Nero.
guillotine because I don't think they had the guillotine technology here. You were just on a chopping
Oh,
block.
also, I shout to the crowd. Also, we know how to make guillotines. That's another good
Stop
thing
telling
about
them
us.
ways for them to kill you.
Yeah, Brian, that's not really helping you.
I mean,
So you've got bags over your heads. You're down on the stone blocks, and you can kind of hear each other's breathing next to each other. It's
Yeah.
adorable that you guys know how each other breathes. Any last words to
Hey,
each other?
by the way, I say I declare King's Gambit.
wait, I look.
I say shut up, just fucking go with it.
I'm like,
And
oh
you
my
were
god.
smacked in the back of the head for swearing. That's going to be a 50 copper piece fine.
I
figure
think
out how
to
we're gonna
myself
collect that
quietly that this must be a good bit if it's worth cursing on this curse-free podcast.
That's what King's Gambit means. That you're allowed to curse.
So an orator goes up and you hear some guy just listing a list of grievances, insulting to his dukeness, the highness, and the talents, and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like droning it out. You're like, just kill us already. Somebody comes up and whispers behind you like, hey, I'm the Axeman's helper. And I'm fans. I thought that we really needed a change of administration here. I was all for this. It wasn't a very popular view. How those elites are. And I was thinking that people didn't understand what it's like for the rest of us in this kingdom and this dukedom. And I'd liked your bold ideas. Granted, you had no experience in politics. That was very, very clear. But we really liked, your fresh approach to it. You were going to make this dukedom great again, and we love that.
I shout.
Hey, listen. 776 will rise again.
I shout, I too invoke King's Gambit, and then I say the C word.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything here, guys.
Oh, sorry.
But listen, here's the thing. There's going to be an eclipse in about 45 seconds. All right.
Nice.
So what I need you to do is to follow my lead. You got it?
All right.
Yes, yeah.
All right, we're following. You lead,
Okay.
we follow.
All right.
King's Gambit. I say the
Guys
S
up
word.
on stage, look, run, then furthermore, and they entered the ducal chambers of Prevotite ground, and then they ate the duke's food, both brought from faraway lands, and then they performed a sketch, which we suggest was actually stolen. Okay, and so, and then you hear this oohing and awing over the audience. Ooh, ooh, oh, and they're like, and you notice like through the thin gauzy look of your things over your head, it gets dark. And the guy's like, all right, now here's what you do. Follow me. Pulls you guys off of the blocks.
Nice.
Whips the masks off. You jump down off of the chopping block, and you see right behind there is like a small little like kind of like a sewer grate hole. He says, follow me. We're climbing inside of there, right? You're following him.
Following. Gotcha.
Scurrying around. It smells like you're climbing through like raw sewage, by the way, right now. Like raw sewage. It's disgusting. It's gross. All right, now we've got to swim through this sewage part here. Are you with me?
Swimming through the sewage.
I'm not swimming. I'm wading slowly, and I'm still laughing.
It's a pipe, Brian. You cannot wade. You've got to like just swim through it.
You're
Fine,
going.
I
You're
swim.
going.
I
You're
swim.
going
I
as fast
swim.
as
I
you
swim.
Okay. You climb up over the top of it, and now you're inside like this little prison chamber. It's like, don't worry, this door's open. We're gonna go through this cell here. We go through this cell here. We go through this other cell, and there's another hole in the ground. Like, come on, back through here, and it's a toilet. You climb back down through there, climbing through the toilet. Okay, now we've got to go through the rat tunnel.
Are there any
Yeah,
rats? Are there any
okay,
rats in the
man,
rat
I'll
tunnel?
tell you what, you better watch
There are no
out, or
rats
I'm
in
going to
the-
declare King's Gambit on you, bruv.
There are no rats in the tunnel. Okay, so we climb into the tunnel because the snakes got them all.
Okay, gotcha.
All right,
Are there
there's
any
some cottonmouth
JCs
snakes
around?
and all there. Like you're getting bit on the legs a couple bit, but we go through there, and you keep going through the tunnel, keep going through the tunnel. Right now, you notice this guy's like clad all in leather, and he's not bothered by this. Like, okay, we come to another opening. Right, we're inside of another opening. Okay, you with me on this?
Yeah,
All right.
no, right
Yeah.
there.
Okay, now we have a little bit of a cockroach infestation problem in this chamber.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I eat a cockroach.
Oh, good, because they're already climbing all of your mouths.
Good.
Ah!
Good.
Okay.
I chew it down and I stare right in Justin's eyes. And I was just like, why you a baby?
Okay,
Nah.
now we got to go climb through this tunnel here. Listen, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. This is the latrine. This is the soldier's latrine, and we actually got to climb through the latrine.
Okay.
Alright.
Is there any poop in the latrine?
No, just urine.
Great.
And there's
Nice.
about 20. There are like about
Great.
20
I
soldiers.
splash around and I look at Justin
gotta-
right in the eyes and I say,
No.
you're
You gotta
sterile.
crawl. Brian, you got to crawl because they're standing over it using it right now.
Okay.
Get down. Okay? So you're crawling through the latrine as they're it's
I
disgusting.
splash some water up just to give them a little surprise.
You start a fight. Next thing you know, there's a big latrine fight, which we won't get into. That's just disgusting. So we keep climbing. All right, but guys, we're almost there. We're almost there. We got to go through this. We got to go past the kitchen, but we're gonna actually have to go past like the stove area, like the oven, the area there. It's gonna get very hot. Let's climb through there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then we finally get to a small little chamber. Like, okay, here's the deal. We got to go through the market. I need you guys to put on I need you to disguise you guys as blind guys. Okay, as blind men.
Nice.
It's a way for them to cover your eyes. Okay, so put these
Good.
things over your eyes. You got them?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I use my power of closing my eyes to fully seem like I'm blind.
Well, he puts blindfolds over you, so you look like a blind guy trying to cover. This
Right,
is the height,
right.
so
But
they don't
behind the
recognize.
blindfold,
Good.
I make sure
Good
to
method
keep
acting.
my eyes
Your
closed.
method acting is
Yeah.
amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Follow
open
me.
my eyes.
I feel my other senses grow in acuity.
Okay, so
as a
we're
result of-
crawling. We're crawling. You're crawling. He's guiding. He's pushing. Like, okay, you go over here. You go over here. Now just we're on a stone bench, okay? Just hold on. I hear some noises. Just stop right there. Just put your head right down here. You guys, you with me?
Yeah.
Gonna wait. All right. Take off. I'll take off the blindfolds now. Oh, we're back on the chopping block, and everybody's laughing at you, and you realize the jester did this to you. Wah, wah.
Oh man!
All right, I look over at Justin and I say, "Is it time for us to reveal that we're secretly robots?"
Well, I think it's time for, just the biggest King's Gambit of all time.
Okay, I stand up and I announce to everyone. I was like, I look to everyone, and I shout out, like, I just want to grab their attention to distract them from Justin. So I start to say, the concept of resistance to fire is what as old as history itself. And I start doing my fire eating routine.
Well, I assume he's tackled fairly quickly.
Feces.
Right.
You're now on fire, Brian.
Okay. All right. I say I cannot resist fire, and then
all right. You want to know what? Is it still dark? Is the eclipse past?
There was no eclipse. They just raised a sheet in front of the sun and just faked you out.
Okay. All right. Look. How many people are we looking at in the crowd?
I don't know, 782. Oh, okay. No, that guy went through a little hallway.
All right, 782. And then meanwhile, how many
mother
people
brought in her 6 children.
How many people are on the dais with us?
You've got the executioner. You've got the dukes. The guy who was doing the long talking. You've got the fool who's just grinning, laughing at you wildly right now.
That's fine. Are we physically restrained at this point?
Yeah, and your hands are back and tied, and you're secured, and there's a group of soldiers all around you here.
I looked at Justin.
I try to rub my head on it just has caked in poop and urine. Like, I just try to rub it on as many people as possible.
Yeah, you're by yourself on the block, and there's the executioners.
Well, they had to secure me. I just wanted to get real octopus.
Okay, mission accomplished. Now I'm do you have any last words to each other first? This is just me talking.
I mean, Justin, look, it seems like we're kind of screwed. It feels like this is the end of our story, and I'm sorry that we time traveled. I'm sorry that I gave us up. I'm sorry that we never made it to the West Coast and never found your wife, or
never
Andrew
found out if Andrew was alive.
Yeah,
right?
we never. There's a lot of unresolved issues, and they're all my fault.
Bryce is still an evil warlord.
Yeah, no, he's running Diamond Town. Listen. I say, look, here, I feel real bad about the whole thing. I'm going to commit suicide in an attempt to divert everyone so that you can maybe go on without me.
How about we go out together singing an old hymn that we all know, and then I begin singing Semisonic's Closing Time, hoping that Brian follows along with me.
I do recognize the song, and then I interrupt him to say, "Hey, did you know that Semisonic's Closing Time is actually about the birth of his son? He's talking about his son leaving his wife's womb. That's what that song's really about. Did you know that?"
I didn't, but I keep singing the song, and so now we're both singing Closing Time as loud as we can as we face the gallows.
All right, so I put my head down, and with my arms bound behind my back, I run full steam, just leaping into the crowd, hoping either to hurt and injure someone and cause a distraction that can let Justin escape, or failing that, just to run through the crowd.
Before Brian can do that, I grab him to secure him from doing something that will almost certainly get himself killed.
I look him in the eye and say, "Thank you, brother." And then I kick him and do it anyway.
I kick Brian's leg so he just kind of falls down in a heap and can't do anything.
I get up and say, "Oh, you, Justin, you sure don't know when to quit, you." And then I try for a third time to run into...
I kick Brian in the nuts, and he lays prone on the ground, screaming about how his nuts were kicked.
There's now a crowd formed around you, cheering on this fight.
I realize that maybe we're onto something, and maybe like we could have a new career as the world's most popular live Punch and Judy show. And so
Yeah.
I kick Justin in the nuts.
I fall down and say, "Ow, my nuts!"
All right. There's some wagering going on now.
I stand up and I turn to an old crone with missing teeth and say, untie me so I can kick his ass.
She punches you. She just punches you in the face.
Okay, all right.
I say, "Great, old crone, great job," and I try to high five her.
A large fish, like a big stinky halibut's thrown in the middle of the ring.
I kick the halibut and say, whoever shall untie these hands will get to see a real ass kicking.
Okay. The halibut gets thrown back at you and you're in the face.
Oh, damn it.
I try to pick the halibut. I try to keep the halibut aloft like a hacky sack.
Right? Somebody throws a chair into the ring.
Okay.
Wait, our hands are still bound, right?
Yeah, but you can get your hands in front of you now.
I turn to the audience in an attempt to get them on our side. Say, you want to see a real show? You want to see me kick his ass?
They're cheering like crazy now. They are like going ballistic.
I say, man, if only somebody would untie me, I'm gonna give them the king's business.
They're shaking their heads.
You don't
like,
need
nope,
to
this is
untie
the way they want to watch the fight.
and I grab the fish and I hit Brian right in the face with the fish.
Okay.
Audience just roars.
I run over and turn my body around and use my hands to untie Justin.
He's untied now.
Then I look at him significantly and spin around and show him my hands.
Audience is booing.
I look at his hands.
Booing.
They're
I look at his hands and I say, "Who wants me to untie him?"
Thumbs down. Everybody's thumbs down. Their thumbs down. There's
And I
a
say,
ladder.
"Who
A ladder
wants
just
me-"
got thrown into the ring.
Now, who wants me to declare King's Gambit on his nuts?
Cheers like crazy.
I swing like in full golf proper swing. I take the halibut and I just tee off on Brian's nuts with the fish.
I collapse weeping on the ground with my hands behind me, and I whisper to Justin, "Tell me this is part of some plan."
And then I stand up on top of Brian's withering form, and I just say, "This is part of a plan."
Huge cheers. Audience starts to cheer. Jerry.
Then I say, "Hey, all right, let's leave and go get drunk."
I look at him with like squinty eyes and a cocked head, like
Let's get out of here. We're all friends.
The executioner sets down his blade, goes over to you, Justin, grabs your arm and holds it aloft into the air.
Hooray for me! Boo, Brian!
Yeah. I am not going to kill you.
Yay!
First.
What?
Second, I will allow you the pleasure of watching me decapitate your friend before I decapitate you.
By the way, I'm quietly trying to squirm away in the background.
I say, well, kindly, executioner, I would like to thank you for your generosity. However, I do have one request.
Yes, what's that? He leans in closer to listen.
When asked whether or not you would like chicken or fish, remember the halibut! And I swing the halibut right into his nuts. I grab Brian and I try to escape through the crowd.
Executioner goes rolling across the floor, covering his nuts, screaming, "This is not fair." Audience parts for you, Justin. They part for you, and they high-five you.
I untie Brian and
No,
with the
you're out of
halibut
ring.
in tow.
It's just Brian there, and the executioner there, writhing on the ground, grabbing their nuts. You've already parted through the crowd.
Oh, I've left. I couldn't get Brian.
You left.
Wait, so I've been abandoned?
Yes, Brian.
I can't go back. I'm already too far gone.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And a man approaches you, Justin, says, "You, sir, I have a proposal for you. Come closer."
Yeah, sure.
I start eating the halibut, realizing
No,
that
I have
it's
the
likely...
halibut.
Oh,
I've taken the halibut with me.
Yeah.
Carrying it stridently over his shoulder like a proud warrior.
Yeah. Wait, what
said,
did this
"All right."
guy say?
What's that? He
this
says,
guy say?
next time on Journey Quest.
Ah, jeez.
Ah!
Action-packed episode of Journey Quest.
Dude, that was a hell of a maneuver.
Halibut of a maneuver.
A halibut of a maneuver?
Gentlemen, want to do picks?
Yeah, man. Look, I want to save Legion for after things, but in the meanwhile, I've got a new favorite podcast, and it's not us. I'm sorry. David Rowan is doing a podcast called Minimum, where he listens to all of the self-improvement, motivational, success-oriented podcasts. Everything from why can I not remember the name of the guy who did the 4-Hour Work Week?
Timothy Ferris.
Tim Ferriss, to Freakonomics, to just all the big hitters. And then he basically distills them down to 15 minutes, where he explains like the best parts of their story, gives a little bit of his...
More push-ups, chicken breast.
Yeah, right?
Save your money.
But it's fantastic. It's so good. Like listen to one, and I'll bet you $1 you're going to end up just binging the rest of the series. 15 minutes a pop, and they're great.
That's great.
They're great.
That sounds great.
Nice. My pick will be Get Out. Saw Get Out this weekend, and it's really, really good. We kind of sang the praises of Split a few weeks ago. This is another Blumhouse production, but done by Jordan Peele. Obviously, a lot has been kind of talked about with this flick, but it's something that even with all that I read about it, I still kind of did not understand exactly what mechanism they were going to use to make their larger point. And I was like pleasantly delighted by this sort of turn that it takes to get there. So well acted, well directed, well written. And there's really not a whole lot that I can say negative about what is just kind of a rad time at the theater. Rarely do things get that smart and that fun. I think that's another element to it. So go ahead and check it out. Get Out.
Sweet. Self-serving pick time. Here it is this Monday. By the time most of you start to listen to this podcast, my book, Blackfall, will hit the shelves. It is releasing tomorrow. Drops March 21st. Blackfall, a Jessica Blackwood novel. It's available in Kindle, paperback, Audible, and audio CD. It should be available in bookstores too, or Amazon, Barnes & Noble, whatever. Listen, it was called Enthralling by Publishers Weekly, and the previous one was nominated for the Thrill Award. Listen, it's would mean a lot if you could, if you like the books, if you like books by Andrew Main or things by us, if you just wanted to support us, I guess. And if you haven't read the other ones, you can actually read this and then get into it. It's a standalone story.
Dude,
there's things alluded to in other books, but it makes sure you can go back and go read those, whatever. So if you want to dip into it, it's a totally cool book to dip into, start from, or you go back with Angel Killer, whatever. But Blackfall is out now. Well, yeah, effectively now. So that's my pick.
Dude, I will personally vouch for, like, if you're a fan of audiobooks like I am, in the genre of thrillers, it's fantastic. And if you like magic, it's the only mass market fiction that I've seen treats magic accurately. It's fantastic. You're really going to dig it.
Thank you very much. I had a very nice compliment. I think it was in like Genie magazine or whatever, where they talked about, there are several magicians who have written novels, but I was the first one they'd read that felt like a thriller novelist, like a regular, like it wasn't like you made allowances. And I just tried to incorporate magic, and it's theatrical stage magic, and it's a detail of it, but there's a lot of other science and biology and other sort of stuff that goes into that. So anyhow.
When everybody reads it or listens to it, where are we encouraging people to talk about it? Is that like a Goodreads thing, a Twitter thing? Where
best thing that can help me is Amazon reviews and Goodreads. If you like it and you enjoy it, if you leave me a review on Amazon, that's great. Goodreads is great. Both of those things are super powerful. I cannot emphasize enough how helpful that is. A nice review, a reason why you love something on Amazon is extremely useful. So like my publisher's like, hey, we need to get some reviews up. I'm like, well, people can't put reviews because it hasn't been released yet. But I guess on Goodreads it is available right now. So sweet. Did not know that. But anyhow, yeah, that is what helps the most is Goodreads and Amazon reviews. So
right on.
And you can read a sample. You just want to dip into a little bit of sample. On our previous podcast, we actually had part of the audiobook. Read a sample of it. Take a look. Just you get it for free. See if you like it,
Boom.
So, all right, gentlemen. I'm going to bring this episode of Weird Things to a close by saying the magic words. It's been weird.
King's Gambit.
Sweet. I declare King's Gambit.
All right, yeah. That's a good show. Let's take a quick 5 or 10. The King's Gambit.
Dude, I'm glad that the answer to this week's puzzle was just like, I kick his ass.
It's just no, you don't do that.
Just straight up kick his ass.
Well, listen, it is our trademark improv style, right? Like, no, not yes and, it's no F you.
You need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Oh. How's everyone doing? Oh, that's too far now. Oh, glad to be back in the studio. Got the podcast going. Ooh, sweatpants. We had South by last week. That's right. We're gonna have the movie draft tomorrow. And it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. Are you guys excited? T2T2 put out the list of movies for the movie draft. So check out his Twitter. Let me see if I can pull that up and maybe we can just make sure everybody knows about it. Everybody knows it's true. Because this time we tried to give everybody enough notice. Okay, here we go. Can I pull this out or something? Dang it, how is anybody supposed to read that? Oh good, Firefox froze, thanks. Fun. That's fun. Your mic sounds weird. I don't know why it sounds weird today. Testing? Hello? Wait, it does. This is not my normal mic. Or normally I have the Winco. Oh, you know what? This is a different mic. This is normally the guest's mic. I wonder if that's weird because they're the same mics. I can give myself more bass, but that's weird. I don't have gray. It's just the lighting. Yeah. Okay, so that's I wondered why I didn't have the fuzzy mic that I normally do. So here we go. The movies. On the draft for the draft. Chips, Life, Power Rangers, The Boss Baby, Ghost in the Shell, Smurfs, The Fate of the Furious, The Circle, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, King Arthur, Snatch, Alien Covenant, Baywatch, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Captain Underpants, Wonder Woman, The Mummy, Cars 3, Rock That Body, not in that. Those are not the same thing. Jeez, damn it, Twitter. Can you not? Okay, there we go. Cars 3, Rock That Body, Transformers The Last Night, Despicable Me 3, House, Wish Upon, Spider-Man Homecoming, War for the Planet of the Apes, Dunkirk, Girls Trip, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Plane, Atomic Blonde, and The Dark Tower. Oh, is it supposed to be planets?
Yeah.
But what if it's 1,000 plane?
Maybe it'll. It's
What if they changed it? Yeah. So that's going to be Tuesday. That's going to be tomorrow. We will definitely not have our 7th team. We're trying to make sure all 6 teams that are in can be represented, but it'll be a pretty good time for the movie draft. Brian and Justin, have you guys thought about the movie draft much?
Is that coming up tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
Asking that question, I guess not. T2 put out the list of movies the other day, and I sent it out to everybody. Oh yeah, that's good.
We've chatted. We got some faves.
Got some faves. That's good.
I mean, what's fun or strange about the movie draft is that, you know, you're not really predicting what movies will do well. You're predicting which movies will be undervalued by the other players.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't have any confirmation. I'm sorry, on who all is in.
Oh, no, I already took care of that.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah. I think the only thing we're unsure about is making sure Chainsaw Suit gets in, because if you haven't seen Mike, he's not doing so great right now, but I think Chris might be able to fill in for him.
Mikey's not doing great?
Yeah. Have you seen his Twitter? He's in the hospital. So, we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, fuck that asshole.
No.
Dude, he's got to show up. You got to Skype in from the hospital. That's bullshit.
Get well soon, Mikey.
It's no, fuck you, Mikey.
He's in a little bit of a vulnerable place.
He's in
on Twitter.
But so it should be Frog Pants.
It's not going to mess up the draft, though, is it? It's not going to inconvenience us. That's what I'm worried about.
So it'll be Frog Pants will be there. Cord Killers, Christy and Malongo. DTNS with Tom and Jenny. Cargill will be playing. He might be playing solo.
Okay.
Unless he found somebody to play with, but I don't know that he did. You guys, obviously. And then probably Chris representing Chainsaw Suit.
Dude.
If he can make it.
Over the last hour, our Monologue spiked even higher. Its highest thing.
Cool.
Confused. I don't understand it.
Doesn't YouTube have like traffic data on videos? Like, because it's because that last video is doing really well.
Yeah, I guess so.
You should be able to look when we're not in the middle of a show. You should be able to look, where that stuff's coming from.
Yeah, or I could just interrupt the flow of the whole show
Sure.
and just comment on it right now.
Yeah,
that's a valid thing I could do. It's the weirdest shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Never mind. All the episodes I think are going to be no good turn out to be massive hits. And
which shows you have no taste, Brian.
yeah, no, that's factual.
Got him.
Actual factual.
Alrighty. Are we good to go for after things?
All right, let me just finish one thing here. One thing here.
Sure, take your time. In fact, I'll update the dash. The dash.
Dude, how close are we to that SpaceX launch of the first reused?
4 days.
That's amazing. So I was talking to somebody who stop me if you've encountered this kind of person before, but they felt like there was a lot to be pessimistic about the world these days. And I encouraged them to be optimistic. And one of the things that I talked about was like, it's so much fun to explain to someone what is happening to space travel right now with SpaceX and the reusable rockets. Like this guy, he was like 60 something years old. had clearly never seen or heard of the benefits of the reusable rockets, and hadn't even, like, I showed him the video and he was like, that just looks like a launch in reverse. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's great.
Yeah.
It's fun to be that guy who gets to show someone a larger world.
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, we've talked a lot about just the culture of negativity and stuff and whatnot, and how people don't want to. And it's in certain, you know, I would say that if you're on either part, if you're towards one end of either political spectrum, you have to embrace some sort of doom and gloom kind of thing, that it's either, you know, we're facing this sort of technological environmental collapse, or we're facing some sort of moral, you know, decay kind of thing. And that's how you attract adherents and stuff. And that's the problem we're dealing with, is that, you know, I've, you know, it's funny because I've been working on this project to, like, make it easier to help people put together their own social media campaigns and continue to, you know, how to increase loyalty and stuff with followers. And I wrote this thing, kind of like do's and don'ts. And I sent it to Justin, but then I'm like, part of my problem was, like, I'm like, well, don't get political. But I'm like, well, that's what some people, all they live for is politics. And I think that's kind of the problem too, though, is that, you know, we want to, you know, it's like, I'm going to yell, like, okay. And then I'm going to go support my cause. So we're all going to go yell together. And it's like,
well, I think it's defining what social media is for you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and if it's just a place where you want to yell, then it's got to be a place you want.
I would say my friends who have the most frustrating relationship with social media are the ones that are the first ones to go out there and to yell and to vent. And then when they don't get the response they want, or they encounter people who have different points of view or whatever, who don't like to be yelled at or whatever, you know, then they get upset, you know. And it's like, well, you went to a party, you yelled at everybody your political opinions and why they're wrong or why this is or whatever, and now you're surprised that nobody wants to talk to you, or people or the other yellers are yelling at you.
Yeah.
I like that metaphor. I described, because both you and I are super friendly on Twitter, and somebody was just
very
like,
friendly to each other on Twitter.
Somebody, not in real life. In real life, we hate each other. Somebody was just like, oh, I knew it. You unfollowed me. And I was like, well, what was I supposed to do? I walked up to you at this party called Twitter, and you ignored me, so I backed away creepily. You know, it's like, anyway.
Yeah.
I like that metaphor as social media as a constant party.
Yeah, that's why it's like a dinner party. You know, what's polite, and everybody can have their different rules, but it's like, it's kind of like, well, if your goal is to go tell the other half of the population they are wrong, then half the people are going, and that's what drives me crazy about Facebook and other stuff, is that, like, I have friends that put stuff on there. It's like, I don't go there because I don't want to engage in discussions with my friends on topics they don't want to discuss. You know, they want to say things that I feel are maybe not necessarily true or misrepresentative or whatever. And it's like, I'm not even going to begin that discussion, because I just want to have fun and I don't want to put my politics in other people's faces. Except, like, we get into it in, you know, weird things, and we try to be balanced, but I know we're hyper technological, libertarian type personalities and stuff. So, well, we just wear that on our sleeve.
Yeah.
Well, I just think the biggest, and as somebody who talks about politics a lot, the most frustrating thing about political discourse in general, from the top to the bottom, like people who get paid and have made careers on it to people who talk about it on Twitter, is that it's either about this very zero sum, one person can win an office, you know, like kind of thing, or it's a lot more complicated. When we get into solutions, there's a million different ways that you can dissect it. And when we confuse the two, I think is when things get very frustrating.
Yeah, I got to do a tour of X Prize 2 weeks ago, and then I was at a party Saturday night, and the guy is head of X Prize, who's the actual runs it for Diamanis, gave a talk, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's what's neat about X Prize is that these are people who they're dealing with big challenges and stuff, but they understand how markets work, so they try to work with markets. And I don't know if all the challenges they're trying to solve are ones that I think are really the threats they think they are, but they're just trying to come up with solutions, and I fully support that. And I think that's a wonderful thing, and I love people who are solutions aren't, and therefore if we put my guru in office, and therefore if this person gets in power, they're going to use their magic to solve it. It's like, that's to me is like, whenever I'm like, I get, we need to solve problems, and people are like, yeah, we need to do awareness or this or whatever. I just sort of like, Yeah. And of course I watched somebody give a talk and talk about like, well, we got to improve education so people don't elect the wrong candidates. And I'm like, well, that's like an elitist sort of point of view. Like, maybe we have education so we have better candidates.
Well, hashtag context. Hashtag context, man.
I'm How are you? No. I'm assuming, Justin, you've got Hotline Monday, right?
Lozenge? Yeah, I'm ready to go. Looks like you were doing something there, Brian. I was just stalling. You good?
No, I'm good.
Yep.
All right.
Take
it away in 3, 2.
Welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood.
Hello, you beautiful citizens.
And Justin Robert Young.
Hey, what's up?
All right, enough of that chatter, guys. We're going to move right into some questions. This is from Andy with a question about kickstarting a project. Hey, guys. My name's Andy, and I have a couple of questions about crowdfunding in general for guys named Andy. I'm starting to Kickstarter soon to raise money for my Kickstarter project by me, Andy, to cover the professional editing costs of a science fiction novel that I'm currently writing. I listened to some of the past AT podcasts about crowdfunding, which was really helpful. Thanks, guys. But still had a few questions I thought you guys may be able to shed some light on. Number one, what, aside from rewards, is the most appealing part of a crowdfunding project involving some kind of art or literature? A friend told me that it's often the artwork that really draws people in. Another thought that perhaps the potential backer's perception of the author is most important. What do you guys think? 2, when it comes to rewards, what is a good reward? What are the people looking for? Personally, I love limited edition stuff, so that's what I was planning to offer. I have shirts and an autographed hardcover, among other things, planned. I think that they're reasonably priced, but not so expensive that it destroys the chance of success, but also something that a potential backer can feel good about and enjoy. Is this a reasonable idea for a type of award? What do you guys think? Thanks a lot. I really hope to hear from you guys on After Things. And Andrew, thanks for following me back on Twitter. Absolutely. So,
all right. I mean, I'll take this.
All right.
I would ask Andy what he wants to do larger picture with his writing. Because if you want to be a professional writer, or you want to do a lot of different books or get paid for them or develop a following for your writing, I would think that doing a Kickstarter would be a terrible idea. And I don't mean to, that's going to obviously sound very, very harsh, but what you are going to immediately fall into when you get into the realities of a Kickstarter is figuring out that you're buying a lot of stuff to put out a book that you could effectively put out for free. Now, yes, you are going to not have all the excitement that comes along with a Kickstarter, but you don't necessarily need the money that you're going to get from it. And if what you are offering are limited edition, or your inclination is to offer limited edition stuff up to and including t-shirts and hardcovers, you're going to find out that there's a lot of overhead for that, and that the price breaks for it are not going to be particularly beneficial for what you want to do. If this, I don't know what stage you are at as an author, so this will be affected by whether or not you already have a following, where I think things like this, you can frame it in a way where there's a higher success percentage. But if you are more at the beginning of your career and you are finding an audience, then my suggestion for you would be write the book, get the art, find other places to do it, but just keep building your audience, your fan base, because Kickstarter in some areas like tabletop and stuff like that, it is a great place to get noticed, it's not a great place to get noticed for fiction writing. It's a better place that you can get your fans and community excited about something big and awesome. But either way, even if you were just like taking advantage of a teeming audience, do not think of a Kickstarter until you're done with the book. You're finishing the book.
His question, or the way it was phrased, was he wants to raise money to do professional editing. So that in theory is the idea that ostensibly from there he wants to raise money to get editing. I would say that the amount of money you're going to need to get it to professionally edited, you can do $500-$600, somewhere in the neighborhood of that. The amount of effort that you're going to need to make a successful Kickstarter is going to be greater than if you literally said, hey, I'm going to go drive Uber for a couple of weeks, spare time to make the money to pay for an editor. It's that, why do you want to put in, 200 hours, which could take, it could take you 2 or 3 weeks of, solid work of doing this affiliate sort of stuff to make $600. I don't know what your situation is or whatever, but if you're saying, hey, the money I need to get it professionally edited, and I don't know where you're getting quotes from or either whatever. There's a lot of services out there that offer stuff that I think is just kind of BS, that take advantage of people's dreams and stuff. They get people to put stuff on a credit card to pay for that, and it's nonsense. But I would say if you're looking at like $600 or so to get it professionally edited, and I don't know if you need a developmental edit or prover edit or whatever, this is not the way to do it. This is not the way to do it, because if we pointed out, Kickstarters where you say, hey, I have a bunch of fans. Hey guys, I'm doing this thing. Or, hey, I have this amazing product that I know the tech blogs and other stuff and Kickstarter is going to love, and people are going to see this thing and want to do it. It is really, 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 I don't know of a single successful person who's launched, something on Kickstarter that didn't have a fan base already to plug into that. And I've even seen successful people try to jump in with like a fan base from one place to try to get it financed. And the amount of time and energy they put into it's not worth it. I would strongly suggest. Oh, I got something to share with you guys, which as my browser decides not to let me open up a new window here, I would suggest you take a look at things like, just this Saturday, when we should point out our buddy Tom Merritt launched his book, I think Pilot X, and he's doing his through
Inkshares, right?
Yeah, Inkshares. And so I would say take a look at that. I would say that if you want to too, and by the way, let me pull this up here because this is really awesome. Our buddy JF Dubois, who had come, had asked us questions and stuff, about writing, and we gave him our 2 cents worth. And then as he's, let me read you this, okay? So he was working on this summer, Inkshares will debut J.F. Dubois' gripping horror novel, A God in the Shed, a brilliant melange of suspense and supernatural. The chilling thriller should appeal to true detective fans as well as readers who enjoy Stephen King, Neil Gaiman, and Clive Barker. Pretty high praise. Well, before it was even completed last fall, the partial manuscript set off a bidding war for the TV rights, culminating in a deal with Skydance. Academy Award winner Akiva Goldsman will be helming the adaptation. Okay?
Ow.
This is our buddy JF. Okay?
Yeah.
This is JF. JF was laughingly coming to us for advice, and he's now got a TV project deal, advanced bidding, everything on this novel that he wrote. And I remember him talking about this. So, and he started with Inkshares. He started from Inkshares to launch his thing. And I don't know. Here's what I know about Inkshares. Okay. They send us books. They're super, super, I would say they're doing an amazing job of promoting their authors, of getting people to read and take a look at stuff. I know at JF, JF has launched, did a launch from a book there. It helped him a lot. So my suggestion is, I don't know that is the answer, but I would certainly say I think that's a better answer than trying to do a Kickstarter, because you're like, hey guys, you've never read my books before, and I want to raise money to get a book edited so you can find out if I'm any good or not. I don't think that'll work.
Well,
that could be wrong, but that doesn't seem like the best approach.
That is the thing that people don't. Many people seem to misperceive, and I would be interested to hear about Justin's exception to the rule. But in general, a crowdfunding campaign is always a harvest, which means you have to have planted the seeds, you have to built the goodwill, you have to have the fans who want more of your thing.
Unless it's like a killer product. That's the exception. The tech blogs will jump onto and go and promote the hell out of you.
Correct. If you have the right idea, then everyone will say like, well, I want that thing to exist, or at least an attempt to make that thing. And then they'll go for it. But
even then, man, you need propulsion to get out of the gravity well of everything on Kickstarter. Like once you kind of get into top lists and get into staff picks and everything, like that's how blogs find you. That's how you get all this wild press, and then once one covers you, then they all cover you. I would say the exception is, I mean, for me in tabletop games, watching that scene, the two places that people buy tabletop games are Kickstarter and Amazon. That's where people buy games now in 2017. So if you've got a good game, there are people that are watching those charts that want to buy stuff because it is just a hot place for it. So reputation matters kind of a little less just because there is a standing amount of interest. But even then, did it help that we launched The Contender and we're going to launch Action News this summer with an audience behind it? Yes, it is a tremendous help. It is a huge way to cut through the clutter that we're going to be able, and having successfully run a Kickstarter before, where now we can leverage that entire audience that's already on that platform. So ink shares is really what you want. Like what you are thinking about is, I want a place where people might find me and continue to create my career in writing. Number one, the first question I would ask you is, are you ready to take a big bet? I.e., have you written stuff before? Because, man, there is no curse that I would wish on friend or enemy that is to have a success with something that you are not ready for in terms of your talent and production. Like, that is the most damning thing you could have. You would rather write 4 or 5 things that you look back on and say, man, I learned a lot. I'm going to come back with this next book, and I'm going to know how to get out of these situations. I'm going to learn how to write better, faster. It's going to be tighter. I'm going to edit better. I'm going to have a better cover. Like there is a lot that, Andrew, from Grendel's Shadow to even, let's say, the first Jessica Blackwood novel, which at that point you had already gotten published in book deals and agents and TV and movie stuff from, like, it was light years, the difference of what you'd learned from the first thing that you put out on Amazon.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I mean, my path was, I've said this over and over again, is write, read a book on writing, write, read a book on writing. Then it became into, once I started getting published, was write, read a book on writing, get a book back edited from, with notes from an editor, study that, understand, how to improve my craft. And so, I went from, in, 3 years time, from being terrified of writing a novel to, being thriller award shortlisted because of the path of trying to improve and get better at doing that. And also understanding, sometimes I'll write great books, sometimes my books may not, as long as I have a pattern, sometimes they won't be great. Sometimes I'll sort of forget things or whatever, or try things that maybe not work as well. But the key is to just keep at it. And so, like, if this is your first project, and that's the assumption we're making here, Andy, is that, to launch and say, hey, fund this and help me get this thing edited and stuff like that would not be the way I would try to make an introduction to writing. If you're serious about a novel, and also, like, finish this thing well before you even try to kickstart too. I mean, that's it. Some people look at this like, man, I want to finish this thing. I go launch this thing Kickstarter, then maybe I can make some money from doing that. You're going to make far less than you realize. Kickstarter is about getting the thing out there, not providing you necessarily an income to do this sort of thing. And the amount of money and effort you're going to put into something to get it going can be a lot. Like, we launched Magic Club on, as a Patreon, and we know, my buddy Jordan and I know with that is, this is a show that we're going to keep pushing out every week on YouTube, keep doing and doing and doing and doing. It's going to be a slow growth as we build up our Patreon supporters on that. It is not like, hey, we're going to launch this thing and then overnight, we're going to have 1,000 people supporting this thing. we're getting, slow trickle of people as they do it, and then they hear about the secret sessions. Then periodically we make a secret session available, and people go, because that's the thing is like the really coolest part about it, you don't get to see until you try it, but we're periodically like, say, hey, take a look. So it's a slow thing. But we're cool at that because we just love talking about Magic, so it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
So we have another one. So that's I would say, look, I don't know that Ink Shares is the answer, but I will tell you what, like, I am, I don't know if proud is the right word, but I'm so excited that we know JF, that watching what JF has been doing, hearing about JF's success is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful because he's a guy that he is a very smart guy, but he was asking questions and just not to say, oh, we told him what to do. We gave him our thoughts, and then he did what he needed to do. And sometimes he took his advice and he did his own things, and he's in a great position. This is a guy that's like, Akiva Goldsman is like, as high level as you can get, and to have a book before it even gets released, to be able to sell the rights to something like that. That's awesome. That is just, he started with Ink Shares. I think that book was an Ink Shares project. I love the fact that he's
he won the Sword and Laser contest, I believe.
What's that?
Yeah.
He won the Sword and Laser contest, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Won the Sword and Laser with that. And you love the fact that he's part of our community. And I would say that, within our own subset, from what I've done, what JF has done, what Tom has done, we're people who follow the same sort of models and do some similar stuff, and we share information. We're super supportive of each other. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence.
And by the way, one last thing on this, and this is more of a Kickstarter process thing. Like, you could make the argument that if the contender was $100,000 less successful, and we got a little bit more of a bunny hill challenge of trying to print them, and so we were looking at a much smaller print run, and we were looking at a much smaller shipment that we had to make just for backers, that now for Action News, now that we understood what the whole production process is, that we would have made money more so on the contender, and we would now have learned those lessons for Action News, which is all to say that we had no idea how to produce a game. We did our reading and we talked to people, but ultimately we had never committed money to doing anything like this before. And holy crap, did we pay a price for making decisions that we we'll make different this time. If you're looking to raise money for professionally editing or raise money for an artist to do your cover art, man, I could not recommend highly enough. If you've never done it before, just wade into those waters and understand what's good and what's bad. Because the last thing you want to do is raise money and pay a bunch of money for something that might not be exactly what you want, and might not be worth it. And that's a huge lesson. And that lesson can be had a lot cheaper than just going out and raising money for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now look in our chat section here, Tonda Gasa is like, hey, Life Engineered, a great book. And so it's like JF, between the Sword and Laser crowd and our Weird Things crowd and Night Attack and Diamond Club and all that, was able to build up an audience and get support for what he was doing. So you have a great audience here. And you have look at what worked for Tom, look what worked for JF, look what worked for me, and when we started figuring out what I was going to do, and Justin and I would strategize, we looked at Scott Sigler. We looked at what Scott was doing, and Scott was doing podcasts. Scott was making his stuff available for people. He was getting it out there, and Scott's so hardworking and so brilliant and so talented. That his success is inevitable. Now Scott's New York Times bestseller. That's inspiring to me. Absolutely inspiring. I'm so thrilled to see what JF has been doing. That's just for us doing the show after things and to talk to people about, hey, try this, do whatever, and just be able to be a small, tiny part of that it is so gratifying. It is so, I can't tell you how gratifying that is to watch somebody who asks us questions and I knew because I talked about some stuff and I knew he couldn't say certain things because sometimes deals are in place. And then to read about this, it was just like, that's just
awesome. Amazing.
I'm proud of my boy. I'm proud. So And so it's good. It's very good. I want to have him back now that he can talk about that, because that's
Oh, totally, yeah.
It
He's
should be
welcome
inspiring to everybody. Inspiring to everybody out there listening. So anyhow, got another one. This is hey guys, movie leak. This is an interesting thing that touched upon something I called up Justin to talk about. Hey guys, this is something you're certainly aware of, but I thought I'd throw it out in light of your February 28th discussion of depression and how having friends and feeling part of something can help combat it. My guess is that Diamond Club and your participation in it must serve that function for a lot of people. I would not be surprised in this internet age if Diamond Club is the primary social group source of friends for more than a few members. While you give credit for what it's become to others, it's fair to say that your involvement goes a long way towards giving Diamond Club its clubhouse vibe. It would be easy to limit your involvement to thanks for listening, catch you next week, and go on with your life. Sure, there's a momentary incentive to do it. The more people feel connected, the more likely they are to support you. But I bet maintaining not only the amount of time, but the level of authenticity devoted to the community interaction would be nearly impossible with only $sign as motivation. Good job, gentlemen. Enough of that. Now, podcast monkeys, do something funny. This is Mike Range, Movie League Mike.
Yeah, it is curious to me how much of all of the podcasts, whether it's a Night Attack or Weird Things, or even to some element Cord Killers and so on, how much I was trying to piece together the appeal of the confessional, right? There's a part of this that we do because I don't know about you guys, but I know that I personally really, really get joy out of telling the truth, and in a way that you don't get to do in casual, polite conversation with other people, right? Do you think that's part of what the appeal is?
I ate all the Skittles at the party.
I kind of, I don't know.
Yes, I know in relationships, like, the thing that I try to say is, like, I just want to be honest, and online, everything. I'm already full of my own BS enough. I don't need to actively try to do it anymore. I would say that to the question of the value thing, like, I've been doing these, I've been doing Periscopes. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of them over the next week at the launch of the book. I love them. It's a fun part of my life because there's a part of me that likes to teach. I try to do a fair amount of guest lectures and stuff at colleges and stuff like that, or a small amount, and more of that, and I enjoy that. The Periscopes thing is fun for me because part of it is that, like, I know what it's like to be that other person, the other end, who has questions or trying to figure something out, and to just want to talk to somebody who maybe has a little bit of tiny insight on something, but, and say, hey, well, let me see if I can make a shortcut for you, and just to talk to people, just to have a conversation, just to be there and understand that, have somebody respond to you and make you feel, listened to.
I think part of the community has kind of been built on the idea that so many of the people that make the content, which has grown to be people that were initially just listening, it's kind of born out of this idea that there's a lot of investment heavy media. There always has been. There's a lot of kind of take and go media, like TV. TV is a very passive media, right? Radio has kind of always been something that is a lot more invested because you take calls, there's a personal sort of element to it. It's long form, so you're just spending a lot more time with it. And that, I think, is where kind of the Diamond Club aesthetic was sort of born out of, was, I think it kind of goes back to that first idea that Brian told me before I even started doing BB Live Show together, was like Brian saying, hey, I built a studio in my house so I could hang out with my friends without drunk driving home, and it's like, I think that's, there's that's a flippant, silly kind of one-liner, but there's this idea of like, hey, all my friends would hang out online if I said there was a reason to, so let's do it. And that totally, created a lot of the DNA of BB Live Show, and so much of that energy has kind of exploded outward. It's just what it is, It's just the way that we kind of want to hang out with everybody. And by we, I mean everybody who wants to put in that extra time to chat, because there's a radiating element to that. Like a place where a busy place attracts more people that just want to watch, you know? And that's been our bread and butter.
It is a curious artifact of that scheme that I put together. that as a result, like both you guys, like the story of our friendships is more online than offline. Like more of our actual friendship, the good parts and the bad parts, the fights and all that stuff is documented and will live forever on the internet, and that's extraordinary to me in that regard. And if other people get something out of our oversharing, that's wonderful. But I think that, like you point out, Justin, I think that ultimately, we just like hanging out, and we're glad other people.
It's funny because you say oversharing, but it's like it's not necessarily oversharing to me, because I'm the kind of person that talks about that stuff to you and Andrew, right?
Sure.
So it's like, if anything, like I am holding back on the internet, but it's like the level of authenticity that I think we've kind of set for ourselves sort of demands that, unless it harms somebody else, you might as well talk about it. I mean, what are you holding it back for?
Yeah.
I think we've kind of reached the point. And I had to learn this from you guys, which was my self-image, and then my image in front of the world, and where I was comfortable with, and how much, because you have that. Well, if people see me this way or whatever, they're not going to like me. And if you're an unlikable person, then the answer is they're probably not going to like you. But if you're a person who likes people, and that helps a lot, and then just being more comfortable doing that. And, I don't think I share to the point that you do, Brian, because one, I'm not podcasting as much as you do, but I'm trying to be just pretty straightforward and honest about stuff. And I just want a side note is like, I've been to a few parties where you go to these beautiful houses, where some wealthy person who maybe they're in real estate or multiple businesses or whatever, and you realize the purpose of the party is because they've reached this point where they realize they don't socialize enough, and they reach out to somebody to say, help me throw some parties so I can meet more people, because they don't have that. They have money, but they don't have what we have, which is, this community, this party. It's just this nonstop, whether we're doing a show and people are going to show up or hop on a live stream or whatever and have, hey, there are people here. We can have conversations. We can hang out. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I asked JF, by the way, if he wants to come do next week's show. He says, oh, can I sing it? He's like, I told him we're singing his praises. He's like, he's traveling next Monday. Jerk. Hate the guy.
How quickly you lose Andrew's favor.
It turns. But yeah, I would love to get him on. He's traveling because now he's big shot writer.
Oh, yeah.
It's so great. It's so great.
Too busy for us.
Congrats, JF. You have
man.
ascended
No,
to.
Brian, we're taking it back now. We're
Author
taking it all
Valhalla.
back.
Hey, I got a pick. Stop me if you've heard this before, but Legion is a really good show. I've only watched the first episode, but I watched it twice, and I was utterly surprised at the quaint Wes Anderson-like feel that it had. I didn't expect that. What a curious angle to approach. Like halfway through, you have to remind yourself that, oh, this is an X-Men property. This is amazing.
Can I just tell you that, like, what my dream is? My dream is Wes Anderson does the Fantastic Four.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? And it could be a period piece set in the 1950s at the height of the Cold War.
It could be today, because it'd be Wes Anderson, it would still feel that way. I mean, Wes Anderson's Fantastic Four.
Well, I'll tell you what. Like, watching the first episode twice was a really great trip, because The first time, you watch it and you're lost in the moment and there's things you get and don't get or whatever. The second time, you see the extraordinary attention to detail. Like, during that opening segment, minor spoilers here, in that first 3 minutes, you see baby David. One of his toys that you see kicked and rolled over is the yellow-eyed man. And there are so many little things. Again, this is in the first 5 minutes. When he goes to put the electric cord around his neck, you see the yellow-eyed man entering the room in the background. Like, that attention to detail has me so excited to experience the rest of this. It is so human. And I heard that the character of Lenny was written for a man, but the chick who plays the role was like, don't change a thing. Like, I'll just be a chick playing this role that was written for a man. It was great.
Aubrey Plaza plays Lenny, and I will say this: continue with that series because it has redefined the way that I look at Aubrey Plaza.
Wow.
This is a career-defining role for her because she was so, and I don't think for her own making, rather, her whole career, her bread and butter was this very deadpan sort of comedic, very funny kind of routine, and man, she is just on another level, especially these last couple episodes where her character kind of comes a little bit more to the fore. Man, there's just a raw kind of electricity to her that I did not think was possible having seen her other work. So I'm pumped to see where you go with it because it gets very weird, but I will say that there is, now that, I'm 6 episodes in, there's a real kind of method to their madness. And they did an episode this last week that is a kind of episode that, especially for the show that it is, I normally despise because it's sort of filled with very, empty sort of cliches. And I was so thrilled with kind of where it wound up heading. It is great, like psychic, magical realism sort of storytelling that, like, magical realism stuff in general, to me, works at its best and isn't awful when it takes its rules deadly serious. And the rules are introduced and they are set. And if they are run against, there are consequences, hard consequences to violating them. And it's not just, in psychic stories in general, it's just kind of like, I don't know, squint really, really hard, and then you get to win. And this is not the stories.
Well, I'm going to throw out my new manuscript, Squint. Thanks. First JF betrays me, now this.
You've seen this, right, Andrew?
No, I have not seen it, okay?
You're in for such a treat. I've been infected, and I couldn't be happier. It is...
right. For as much as you're gushing, I'm very excited for you to see the next couple episodes because I will say episodes 2 and 3 compared to episode 1, where you have a fairly structured kind of narrative. There's a lot of, like, again, it has a universe, but it takes its time kind of digging it out, and it does not care whether or not you get it until it starts to put its pieces together. Like, I'm excited to see where your patience is tested.
Yeah, well, I guess, I will enjoy the melange of what this flavor ultimately becomes, but the one flavor I've never experienced in an X-Men universe, story is it's sweet. It's just adorable. And these are not things that, like, that first episode was just so sweet and adorable, and I will
say that is easily, aside from a few kind of camera things that are very Wes Anderson-y, that's easily the most Wes Anderson-y thing that they do.
Sure. Well, and that's I'm very aware that we are moving into a structured superhero universe, right? And I've started the second episode that very clearly lays out the rules. It's like, okay, well, let's start building a thing now. but just for like, as I said on Twitter, I will put that pilot in the top 20 of all pilots of anything I've ever seen ever. Like it was the rest of the series can be garbage, and I will still be deeply thankful that I saw that pilot. Because as it is, and the promise that it gave, and the flavor that it brought to that genre, I did not expect any of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it looks like nothing else on television. And by the way, FX, holy crap.
Yeah,
just
man.
in the game right now. You know, they got Fargo season 3 debuting. God, this show, The Americans, continues to be an excellent show. They got whatever, Ryan Murphy, squirts out. So that's the Feud show, which is a great cast, and I haven't seen any of them. But like they're the heavyweight right now, like in a time when HBO's got Game of Thrones ... FX is it's the champ.
Yeah, I stopped my HBO subscription because I was just not into it, and then I picked up Stars and then watched Ash versus Evil Dead, which I loved. And then FX with like Fargo season 3 starting up. Like Fargo 1 and 2 are so good. So good. Like I'm excited about Legion, and I guess it kind of makes up for like I was so looking forward to Iron Fist, but like,
oh man, that buzz, that anti-buzz. I've never felt a black hole of enthusiasm strike me as hard as the Iron Fist anti-buzz has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of it is I think there was a general the first Marvel thing to suck, like outright just be bad, was going to just get they were going to inherit a lot of tech debt of like people that liked stuff but had problems with it, and I think that it's kind of a commentary on like these Marvel kids have gotten to skate too far. So I think that there's definitely elements to it that it probably didn't necessarily deserve, but I mean, from everything that you read, it's just kind of, boring, pointless.
Well, that's what I hear is that it's trying to do two separate things, and by doing neither one very well, like the combat isn't extraordinary and the human drama is not remarkable, and as a
which
result,
is a shame because physically, you would think that Iron Fist is probably the most aesthetically pleasing action thing, right? Because he's got like glowing hands.
Yeah,
like that kind of looks like a rave.
I mean,
rave where someone's getting their ass kicked.
If that is the case, I mean, you gotta kind of set the blame down at the execution level,
It seems like, who knows?
And I think it's got. Yeah, I have not seen it. I think the challenge they're dealing with is the stop me if you've heard this before, the long thought lost son of a multimillionaire family returns home to a troubled city, having been trained in some special form of art or whatever, which
sounds
worked great for Arrow, and it's like that trope in of itself is problematic because it's so, it's Iron Man, it's been, it's Batman, it's like
Begins,
yeah, it's like we that, and I don't know how much it dwells on that, but it's kind of like you watch the sort of like the previews, like, hey, I'm returned, and we thought you're dead, and it's like, we've seen really great versions of that, and and I listen, I loved Daredevil season 2. I never finished Jessica Jones, and I haven't watched
Luke Cage.
Yeah. So I have I kind of was sort of like, I don't know. There's so much good stuff out there now.
Yeah. I think, listen, what Jessica Jones, I think, was good. It didn't have great combat, but it had better psychology. There was a little bit more meat on the bone in terms of who she was as a character. Luke Cage is probably the best first half of any of the Marvel shows, in my opinion. It takes a very They take a big swing, and in my opinion, it is a strike instead of a hit. But you can judge yourself about halfway through the season. This, I don't know. I just, if the buzz isn't on it, then it's like that's fine. I can wait for the defenders, and I assume he's Iron Fist. He's got
a fist of iron.
Gonna punch him up. Hey, look at me. I'm back from. Oh, somebody put on Twitter that they would love the version of this of that story where it is the wealthy, Chinese heir who crashes over Texas and learns to be this like insane gunslinger and then has to go back to like Shanghai to rid his family.
Would be amazing.
Go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
I would love to see that subverted. That would be so awesome.
Which, by the way, it's great to. That's one of the things that's great about The Expanse is that because there's really only 3 racial types. There's Earthers, Belters, and Martians. What we think of in 21st century geopolitical politics as various ethnicities is less significant than their alignment in the geopolitical of the future. So as a result, it's great to see prominent Asians and I don't know. It's great to see a twist on all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go. I'm up hard out here.
Oh, I saw you doing the cut the neck thing, and I thought you were like, "Don't mention the Asians."
No. I'm literally into Hotline Monday.
Okay,
time.
all right,
gentlemen, spin after.
All right. Well,
and he's out.
There are a lot of
Don't
Asians
mention
out there.
the Asians. You can't Asian.
So, Bra.
Yeah.
There is I'm trying to figure out what the date is on the Reddit, which is the most authoritative and accurate form of news that there is on the world.
Yes.
We talked about the Falcon reusability launch, and that looks like that is scheduled now for the 27th.
Dude, if I'm around, I would love to hop on a live.
That's
stream.
next Monday.
Thank you, Bryce, because we couldn't do the math.
Well, I was saying it because Brian was
clearly
like
indicating I wasn't
be
doing
on
the
a
math.
live stream for the next 8 hours. That day.
Yeah, you're right. I like Idyllic Vignettes.
Yeah.
as the title. That was pretty good.
No, thank you, Bryce.
But wait, is that the day you're at?
This is Shade.
We'll have to figure this out.
Yeah.
We'll do that later.
Shade.
Oh shit balls.
Right.
That's right.
Shade, Bryce.
Shade. Yes, I caught the shade.
Okay.
I read the receipts and I drank the tea.
I thought because Brian was like, when is it? I'm like, it's the 24th. It's the 24th because I know all things. And then I look here and it says the 27th, which is not the 24th. Because I can do math, Bryce.
I believe you. We all believe you.
Yeah.
Dude, I
like big butts and cannot lie.
well, yes, and man.
What's good, Brad?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Mikey Newman's feed, and I guess he thought he had the flu, but it apparently is something more serious.
Yeah, he's been in the hospital for a few days, and they still don't totally know. So,
jeez.
Best wishes, but I think he's also just the light touch if you're gonna send tweets to Mikey right now.
Oh yeah.
Real
No,
light touch.
yeah. Don't. He clearly is not a fan of the "get well soon" tweets.
Yeah.
That casual drive-by.
Fair weather friendship.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that as I deal with my abscess tooth and.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
Do you have an abscessed tooth?
Oh, thank you for asking, Brian. Why, yes, I do.
Oh no.
That's not good.
Jeez.
Have you tried not having an abscessed tooth?
I tried that. I tried prayer. Prayer did not work. Turns out there is no God.
Hopes and wishes, hopes and thoughts.
I tried
Yeah.
hopes and thoughts.
What about these good vibes? Hold on, let me send some good vibes your way.
What about some love and light?
They're making me a little
Love and
gassy.
light.
Next is meth.
That'll make you feel good for a little while, probably.
Well, it'll certainly simplify my dental problems.
Insofar as you won't have the teeth anymore.
The old George Washington gambit.
So I go to this dentist. She's amazing. She says, well, here are your options. There are 3 options. Number 1 is that we can treat the tooth, save the tooth. Like, okay. Option number 2 is we just pull the tooth. Don't worry about the tooth. Pull the tooth, whatever, put something in or whatever. I'm like, okay. And what's option 3? Option 3 is you do nothing.
And just let it rot? Or
I'm like,
what?
how is that a good option? She goes, oh, it's not. I just want
But
to tell
you
people
could.
what
It's
their
just
options
accurate.
are.
Okay.
Option
And-
4 is we can
take a hammer.
burn $100 and pray to Zoltanafir.
So option 3, I let it continue to grow. I face deteriorating bone loss, possibly the risk of it spreading throughout the rest of my head, and deal with the problems that could cause.
Probably
Not-
negative for your career and life.
Yeah, not
quality.
great.
Yeah. What could go wrong? So, anyhow, I went for option 4, nanotech.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, that's a real thing.
Should be.
Yeah.
Uh,
Alrighty, well, we're going to transition over to Cord Killers in 2
yeah,
hours.
Sending love and light to
Love and
Mikey
light.
Newman.
Good luck with your transition,
Bye,
gentlemen.
guys.
Check out Hotline One Day and music news, and DTNS just finished. So
We'll
check that
be
in
back
your
with
feeds.
Cord Killer soon.